Today we are diving into one of the most epic family sagas you'll ever hear. Seriously. It's a story that kicks off with a teenager's wild dreams and quickly spirals into betrayal, slavery, and prison, but it all leads to this incredible moment of forgiveness that ends up saving an entire nation. So let's get into it and unpack the amazing story of Joseph.
We're actually going to start at the end with this quote right here. These are the words Joseph says to the very people who completely shattered his life. This one idea that something intended for pure harm can be turned into something good, that's the key to his entire journey. So let's see how in the world he got to a place where he could say that.
All right, so our story starts in the land of Canaan. We meet a 17-year-old named Joseph. Now, he's the second youngest of 12 brothers. And let me tell you, to say his family has some issues would be a massive understatement.
So, the conflict is kind of building in layers. First off, his dad, Jacob, doesn't even try to hide that Joseph is his favorite. He gives him this beautiful, ornate robe, a coat of many colors. Well, that alone was enough for his brothers to hate his guts. But then Joseph starts having these dreams, and he tells them about them. Dreams where his family members are literally bowing down to him. Now, to his brothers, this didn't sound like a divine message. It just sounded like unbelievable arrogance.
And you can really see the two sides of the coin here. On one side, you have Jacob, who sees his beloved son, this special child born to him in his old age. But on the other side, his brothers see a spoiled brat, an arrogant dreamer who thinks he's going to rule over them one day. This massive gap in how they see him, well, it's the fuel for the fire that's about to explode.
So one day, Jacob sends Joseph to go check on his brothers. They spot him coming from way off, and one of them says, "Here comes that dreamer." Their first plan? Let's kill him and dump him in a pit. But Reuben, the oldest, talks him out of it. And then Judah pipes up with a different idea. He says, "What do we gain if we kill our brother? Come on, let's sell him."
For just 20 shekels of silver, Joseph's life is sold. His own brothers then take that beautiful robe, dip it in the blood of a goat, and go home to convince their father that a wild animal mauled and killed him. Jacob is left absolutely heartbroken, mourning for decades, all while Joseph is being dragged off to Egypt as a slave.
You know, you'd think being sold into slavery by your own family would be rock bottom. But for Joseph, his arrival in Egypt is just the beginning of a whole new chapter of suffering. So Joseph gets sold to a guy named Potiphar, who's one of Pharaoh's high-ranking officials. And amazingly, despite everything, Joseph thrives. He's so good at what he does that Potiphar puts him in charge of his entire household. But then disaster strikes. Potiphar's wife tries to seduce him, he refuses, and she falsely accuses him of assault, and just like that, he's thrown into prison. Even there, he manages to interpret a dream for Pharaoh's cupbearer, who promises to put in a good word for him. But then the guy gets out and totally forgets about him. For 2 more years, Joseph is just left to rot in that dungeon.
This is what Joseph said when he rejected Potiphar's wife, and it's such a critical detail. Think about it. His own integrity, his loyalty to his master and to his God, is the very thing that costs him his freedom and lands him in prison. It's just a devastatingly cruel twist.
So after 2 long years of Joseph languishing in that prison, a major crisis hits the highest office in Egypt. The pharaoh himself is having these terrifying nightmares, and wouldn't you know it, Joseph's forgotten gift is about to save an entire empire.
So Pharaoh has these 2 deeply disturbing dreams. In the first one, 7 fat, healthy-looking cows come up out of the Nile River. They're followed by 7 other cows that are just ugly and gaunt, and they eat the healthy cows. Then he dreams again. This time it's 7 healthy ears of corn getting swallowed up by 7 thin, worthless ears. Nobody in his court, none of his magicians or wise men can tell him what it means.
Finally, the cupbearer remembers the Hebrew prisoner who interpreted his dream. So they pull Joseph out of the dungeon and bring him before Pharaoh. Right away, Joseph makes it clear, "I can't do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer." He explains that the 2 dreams are actually one single message, a warning of 7 years of incredible abundance followed by 7 years of a terrible, devastating famine.
But here's the brilliant part. Joseph doesn't just interpret the dream. He gives Pharaoh a solution. He lays out this incredibly practical, strategic plan for how Egypt can survive. This just goes to show he's not just some guy who has weird dreams. He's a wise, capable leader.
Pharaoh is completely blown away. And in a single day, Joseph goes from being a forgotten prisoner to the prime minister of Egypt. He's made second in command, with only Pharaoh himself having more authority. He's now in charge of the whole plan to save the nation. What a turnaround.
The years go by exactly as Joseph predicted, and the famine is brutal. It hits not just Egypt, but the whole region, including back home in Canaan. This forces his father, Jacob, to send his sons to Egypt to buy grain, setting the stage for one of the most intense family reunions in all of history.
And there it is, the moment from his childhood dream. His brothers come before this powerful Egyptian governor, and they bow down with their faces to the ground. They have absolutely no idea who they're talking to. But Joseph, he recognizes them instantly.
Now, Joseph doesn't just reveal himself, no. He puts them through a series of tests because he needs to know, are they the same cruel men who sold him away? First, he accuses them of being spies, and right away their guilt over what they did to him comes rushing back. But the real test, the final exam, is when he frames his youngest brother, Benjamin, for theft. Are they going to abandon Benjamin to save their own skins, just like they did to him?
This is the moment. Judah, the very brother who suggested selling Joseph in the first place, steps forward and gives this passionate speech. He explains how losing another beloved son would literally kill their father, and then he offers himself up, offers to become a slave for life if Joseph will just let Benjamin go free. This selfless act is all the proof Joseph needs. They've changed. They've really changed.
At Judah's plea, Joseph is just completely overcome with emotion. He can't keep up the act a second longer. He orders all the Egyptians out of the room, so it's just him alone with his brothers for the final shocking reveal. He starts weeping so loudly that the whole palace can hear him. And then he says these words. Can you even imagine the absolute terror that must have washed over his brothers? The powerful man who holds their lives in his hands is the brother they betrayed and left for dead all those years ago?
I mean, this is the ultimate question, isn't it? He has all the power. He could have them executed. He could enslave them. He could send them away to starve to death. After everything they put him through, what path is he going to choose?
And here we have it, the central message of this whole story. He tells them not to be angry or guilty because he sees a much bigger picture. He sees a divine purpose that was woven through their evil act to bring about an incredible good, the survival of their entire family and so many other people.
And you'll notice, he doesn't just say he forgives them, he proves it with his actions. He makes arrangements for his entire family, yep, the same brothers who sold him and the father who thought he was dead, to move to Egypt so he can provide for them and protect them. The family isn't just saved, it's completely restored.
So in the end, Joseph's story really forces us to look past the surface of things. It's a powerful narrative about finding purpose, even in immense suffering, and seeing a grander design at work, even in the most wicked human actions. And it really challenges us to think about what justice, purpose, and forgiveness look like in our own lives today.